Covering No Doubt here on the channel has never crossed my mind. I've never had any requests for them until I started doing ska punk bands. Then the request for No Doubt came in and I thought, maybe I'm missing something? And it appears I am. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Lone University. Lately, I've seen a lot of requests for the track Spiderwebs, which is from No Doubt's third studio album, Tragic Kingdom, released in 1995. And I'm of course familiar with No Doubt. Gwen, Stefani, they're a household name. But to me, they were always just kind of a commercial pop band. Don't speak, you know, that's about all I really know. I've even played that track in a cover band before, and I remember that bass line being markedly cool for a radio pop hit. But you guys say bassist Tony Kanal really shines on this track, and there's a huge chance I've heard it, being on the same album as Don't Speak. So I'll let you know if I do, but it certainly isn't a track I've given any critical attention or a critical listen to. So I'm going to break it down today and check out his playing. Let's get to it. Spiderwebs by No Doubt. Yeah! I recognize this. Huh. Had no idea that was No Doubt. Seriously. There's so many songs like this that, you know, you can show me, I'll recognize it. I feel like I've heard this in Walmart, like all my life. And no idea it was No Doubt. Again, there's tons of songs that fit that category. So this is good to know, hearing the horns. You know, the few songs I do know by them, I didn't hear any horns. And it all kind of makes sense now. This being their third record, I imagine their sound is a little bit more in this vein in the past. So something worth exploring, but let's keep going. Okay. Real audible bass. Let me wait till the chorus comes in. Ooh. Huh. Okay, I wanted to let it go to the chorus just to see if I recognize that. Don't really recognize that chorus. Just something about that intro. So many song intros are iconic, and the rest of the song, not saying it's forgettable, but I definitely recognize that horn intro. Okay, great audible bass. I almost feel like here in these verse sections, you can really possibly hear what technique he's using, and I don't know, but I like the sound of it. Listen to this. I just talked about that concept bass players do where they're on a root note. In this case, it's in B flat, and they're just riding the fifth below it. And they're just kind of building anticipation to go to another chord. It would be way less interesting if he just went, you know, it sounds like we're sitting there a while. And I feel like I've mentioned this in a lot of recent videos where you can just go down to the fifth and just keep pummeling it, just keep punching it. It just builds a little bit of anticipation. Just waiting to go somewhere. I talk about this a lot. But as far as his tone, what I was saying is it almost sounds like he's kind of slapping the notes. Not in your typical percussive, zingy kind of way, but just using the thumb to kind of get that very uniform, punchy sound. And he could be using a pick. It could just be the way his tone's EQ'd. He could be digging in fingerstyle, but it almost has this kind of sound here. Like a... You just get that little bit of punch, and it just gives that whole verse a little bit more energy. And if you pull the kind of the mids and the treble back a bit, I did that as soon as I heard this bass line come in, you can get that kind of zingy tone, but you don't get that, you know, unpleasant kind of shrill thing from slap pop. So let's keep it going. I'm actually going to skip back to kind of here because I don't want to rewind too much. Go into this chorus. Is that a little nasty bass fill there? Love that. Minor 6. Driving it. Ooh. Kind of love that rhythm section development there, where it almost harkens back to the same thing I was just talking about in the intro. It's like it's in double time now, but it's the same kind of driving thing where it's using the tonic, but the fifth below it to keep going back into it. So if you hear that right here, whatever those chords were, but it's kind of that same theme he was doing. And I just think both his tone and the note choices give the song a punch it wouldn't have. You know, this could easily be a really washed out, boomy synth bass kind of thing in the background. Because this has a poppy feel still. It very much, now that I hear it, I can see how this fits into No Doubt, the sound I am familiar with. But I like that tone's a little gritty, a little teethy. And I'm just so curious about albums before this now, if they got a little more radio friendly over the years, because never expected this to be labeled as ska punk, pop punk, any of that stuff, reggae. So I've been misinformed, and that's on me. Let's keep it going. Ooh. Okay, there he goes. I love this. Really focusing on that minor sixth sound, you know, we're in B flat. Really poppy progression. But on this bridge section, I said this in another video too. I think I did Thrice's Stare at the Sun. It was the same kind of thing. The bridge came in and they went right to the minor chord, something different you hadn't heard before. They've played that G minor before, but actually starting the phrase on the minor chord just gives it a different feel to your ear. Just darkens the song up a bit because it's kind of happy. I hear that ska kind of bouncy reggae theme stylistically, and they go into this section and it gets a little darker, which gives the song a lot of room to grow or come back to that happier sound. Right here. Nice and dark. And what's cool is that the guitar is kind of just riding on that six in G minor here. But bass player Tony is still moving around, and I like that kind of rub it creates. If you listen to the way the bass notes kind of clash with the other notes, because he's still adding a lot of movement up and down that scale. I hear him kind of moving around back there, but cool bridge section, kind of early in the song for that. We'll see where it goes. I don't recognize any of this part of the song, though. Hear that walk down. So it's kind of clashing with the note everyone else is holding on. Heard that little, very lyrical fill. Yeah. I love the contrast in this part of the song. Back to this section. This is good. Yeah, the more I listen, none of it sounds familiar. Something about that intro. Maybe the horns just jumped out when I heard it because they don't seem too up in the forefront here the rest of the song. But giving it a critical listen, man, this is some just polished, really good songwriting. As I said in the intro, I think I said that, it's here in my notes, Tony had a writing credit on this with Gwen. And I read a bit about his Wikipedia page that he's gone on to be a producer and, you know, really thrive in that world. When you have great songwriters in a band, you can just churn out this really catchy stuff. And I just love the contrast of that darker bridge in G minor, kind of straight. You know, it kind of moved away from this really broken up kind of reggae thing, and it just went more straight, longer notes, a little more moody. And it's just cool contrast. And I kind of like even here, they're playing with those types of articulation contrast, if you will, where it's going this kind of thing here. And then they go to that just longer notes. So I just like the varied feels all in these this one phrase here. Nice and broken up, long, cool. Bass is moving here. Vocals are great, man. Something about the production on her voice. It's just got this kind of back in the back kind of airiness to it. And it almost fits in just like another instrument. She's doing a lot of repetitive rhythm stuff. I'm not paying attention to the lyrics or really the vocal melody too much. It seems kind of static, but again, I'm really owned in on what Tony's doing. But, you know, it sounds like Gwen from what I know, but it just has a bit of a different melodic approach. And it just adds this texture that's just really made this whole darker second half of the song really thrive. Really catchy stuff, even though there's like no real hook going on. There's no like Spiderwebs. You know, I wasn't sure what I was expecting, like Don't Speak. So a different side of the band I didn't know existed. I didn't even know this was No Doubt. But I love how the bass is just doing what I call gurgling here. You might have heard me say that in other videos. It's where maybe in the last third of the song is when it usually happens. The bass player will take what he's done, something more sparse, maybe more groovy, more fundamental, more broken up. You know, that kind of thing, what he was doing in the first half. And now it's just gotten busier. There's a lot of passing tones. There's a lot of double notes. You know, just gurgling is what I call it. It just bubbles underneath everything and just glues it together. And it's a way to just add some tension from the rhythm section melodically, because the drummer can't really do that melodically, of course. So I like when the bass kind of jumps in and just makes it all happen. Listen right here. I think it's the next one. Maybe? I skipped too far. I gotta show you. Right here. I did it for just kind of one repeat there. Just gurgling. I liked it. Then he kind of went back and I guess is driving the rest of the song home, stripping it back down just on tonic, just on eighths here. What a cool way to get back to this sound. Okay. He's kind of just made an amalgamation of what he did earlier, putting it with the sound at the beginning of the intro where he was a little more sparse. Just masterful bass line development. I've heard like 2 or 3 modes he's done, and he's all kind of done them in different places. And now at the end of the song, he's taken the intro, the middle of the song, and the beginning, almost sound like 2 different songs. It's really taken me somewhere, this song. but he's taken the intro part and taken the bass line from what he did maybe about a minute ago and reprised it. Masterful bass line development, masterful songwriting. I just didn't know No Doubt could be this kind of dark and moody. I am very surprised. Something else. Bringing back the horns a little more prominently, too. Fade out. There are so many bands in existence that I know one or two songs, I like them, but I might not have just liked them enough or it didn't grab me enough to just go explore the whole discography. Very few bands have gotten that treatment from me. I was more into the rock and metal growing up, and I just kind of put No Doubt in this like radio pop category. And this sounds like them. It's on the same album as the song I am familiar with, but it's just a whole different, deeper, more nuanced version of Don't Speak. I always thought that song had a cool chord progression. It changed keys in the bridge, just going off memory here, but they have some great songwriting. And this is just a band I've slept on. I misjudged, I misinformed, I wrote them off. And, I'd love to do more pop songs, pop bands like this with unsuspecting bass lines and bass players. I feel like there's a lot of bands out there that fit in this category, and I wouldn't know until I heard the song. As soon as I heard that horn intro, I'm like, it's familiar. Didn't recognize the rest of the song, but what a great presentation by Tony. Serving the song, nothing was overplayed, and some bassists can just strike the balance of really serving the song, but really making their presence known in a very tasteful way. It's a tough art to balance, and it's just what I and a lot of other bass players strive to do in writing a bass line. How can we be heard? How can we support the song? How can we maybe contrast everything else to give the composition some depth, but ultimately serve the song? It's a tough art to find. This is a great example of it. I think, thinking back, Don't Speak is too. Funky, serves the song, but it's there. So hats off, Tony Kanal. I feel like I'm just scratching the surface of what he might be capable of and was on the early records. So let me know what other No Doubt I should do, or any other bands you think I've missed out on. But thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it. Come find us on Patreon if you'd like to support the channel further. I do full album reactions over there, have a lot of educational content for bass and much more. And while you're here, please like, please subscribe. It really does help the channel out. I love you all. We'll see you next time.